Bonsai, can I have a kiss? One more. Thank you. So I want to talk tonight about something that happened to me a little earlier. I was on my way to a potluck, and there were going to be a ton of people that I didn't know. I have social anxiety sometimes where it pretty much cripples me and makes me not show up to things that I really want to go to. So anyway, the plan was that I was going to work out, which I did, and then I was going to go to the grocery store, pick up something to make, and then head over to the potluck. So I get to the grocery store and I look for what I'm trying to buy and I can't find it. And then what happens next is something that's very common for me. I essentially freeze. I start overthinking everything, I start having some anxiety, and I can't really get myself to a point to overcome it. I've thought a lot about this because this happens regularly. I get really excited about something, and when the time comes to actually follow through and show up, I panic and never end up going. When I do end up going, I have a good time, but it's really difficult for me to get past that. And so what I ended up doing was I texted a friend and he was trying to encourage me to go, and I just decided no, I wasn't going to go. And so I grabbed Bonsai and we went to the pet store, and I bought him a little, some food, some treats, and a little Star Wars costume, which obviously was an impulse buy, but I don't really care at this point. So then we come to In-N-Out. Bonsai and I come to In-N-Out usually once a week. It's kind of a normal Wednesday or Thursday thing, but tonight's Wednesday, so yeah, we'll come again tomorrow. So the thing I want to talk about is kind of what brought me to this point. For a long time I dealt with this kind of thing and I never really thought about it. I never thought about why I react or respond this way. And tonight I was reminded of something that I shared with a friend a long time ago, is that for, a good chunk of my life, I've felt pressured to be something or show up for someone in a way that maybe I wasn't comfortable with, and they probably weren't really expecting, but I definitely felt that pressure. And so my story goes back to when I was in 4th grade. And this has kind of been a revelation, so I'm still working through it. But I do believe that being aware of what you do is huge when it comes to showing up in a better way and being able to change behaviors that you might not really want. So when I was in 4th grade, back up for half a second. My parents were divorced growing up, and when I was in 4th grade, my mom reached out to my dad and said, "Hey, there's this father-son retreat. I think you should take Dustin." So my dad said yeah, and I wasn't really close with my dad at all. Oftentimes he'd say he was going to come pick us up, my sister and I, and never would show up. So I kind of got used to the idea of not doing things with him because he was so unpredictable. And the thing that I felt when I was going to go to this camp with him was super anxious and super stress and anxiety as, 9 or 10, however old you are in 4th grade. So anyway, moving on. I'm outside. I went to this camp with him. We drove, 3 or 4 hours to get to the camp. And we're having an okay time. This is really uncomfortable for me because I didn't really know him. And the next morning, wake up and we have the alarm goes off and we have breakfast, but before we get to the breakfast, I go outside the tent and he's putting his shoes on. And he leans over to me and says, "Dustin, I didn't come up here for you to spend time with your friends." And he got up and he left. He drove away that day, left me at camp with, friends and their dads. So I spent the rest of the time at that retreat being the third leg in every single thing that we did. And it's something that's bothered me most of my life. But as it relates to my anxiety with social interactions, I think that the bulk of why I get this way is because he expected me to be something for him. And he expected me to show up and really only give him attention. And I was in 4th grade. Like, I wasn't thinking that. I just wanted to be with my friends. And so not being able to isolate that incident as an adult has been really hard for me. And nights like tonight where I end up not doing something that I really was looking forward to really remind me of the fact that nobody can make me do anything that I don't want to do. And so often we feel pressure externally that most of the time is not really there. We think people are expecting something of us. We think that they want us to act a certain way or be a certain thing for them. And again, most of the time, they don't even think that. But we think it, and we feel it, and the things that we go through are all internal for us. And so moving forward, as I continue to work through this thing, I would encourage you to look back. If you have something that you stress out about or you get anxious about, think about what that thing is and what's really underneath. So for me, the thing underneath was that I'm not good enough. The thing for me was that unless I show up a particular way, I'm not going to be accepted, or I'm not going to be liked, or I'm not going to be loved. And choosing to accept myself and not reject myself, because that's what I often do, is I put what my dad did to me and I do it to myself. So I reject myself. I push myself away in areas that, thank you, Bonsai, in areas of my life that I don't want. So moving forward, again, I challenge you to think about that thing. What is that thing that causes you stress? And what's the root of it? What's underneath that feeling? And start to process it. Start to work through it in a way that there's hope. So for me, I know there's hope because my dad's not even alive right now. And so the thing that I feel like I'm trying to protect myself from is not necessarily something I need protection from. My brain is trying to help me, but in reality, I don't need it. I'm an adult and I can choose what I think and I can choose what I feel. So as I continue to experience these things, I feel much better and I get over these things more quickly because the guilt isn't there. I can accept that this is just who I am and it doesn't have to be who I will continue to be. So just because it's who I am now doesn't mean that I always have to be that way. So I foresee a time where I can show up to these things and just be comfortable being present and being there. So what is that thing for you? My challenge for you this week is to take a step back. Think about the times that you get stressed out or anxious about any number of things. It could be something like me, where you don't like going to things because people are there. It makes you nervous or anxious. So what is that thing? And when you figure out what that thing is, think about something that you can do to just accept yourself. Not try and change who you are in the moment, not try and be something else, but just in the moment accept that this is okay. Don't judge yourself. Don't feel guilty. You can change it forward, moving forward if you want. But in the moment, just be good to yourself. Accept that it happens, and it happened, but it doesn't have to continue to happen. I had a good night with Bonsai, and we had a burger, and I'm gonna go home and watch some TV. But I'm gonna choose to let that thing go, because I don't wanna dwell in guilt, and I don't wanna dwell in shame. So what is that thing? What can you do about it? And how can you accept yourself in the moment? Till next time, have a good night. Bonsai, say goodbye. It's right here, look, it's right there. This is my dog Bonsai, one-eyed Cyclops. See if he'll kiss me. Can I have a kiss? Oh my gosh. Let's see, can I have a kiss? Give me a kiss. Come on.